We all have one or two games that growing up we know are garbage or we once loved, and on growing up our feelings of nostalgia fail us. We see the issues in the game we may not have seen before then. For me, this game since I was 10 years old has been Bulletstorm. Developed by People Can Fly after being bought into Epic Games tendrils, in 2011 the game is one of the first I think of when I hear mid-2000s gaming. The game itself has so many tropes and things from the 7th generation of games, both for good and worse. While I will not show many cutscenes and dialogue, I want to give a massive warning. There are some lines that are downright ridiculous, even for the time, with characters throwing the R slur and making racial jokes towards the only person of color in the game. If I do showcase any of these cutscenes with these lines, I will cover specific words or phrases they use, with me saying a planeswalker name from Magic Gathering, similar to Tulare Community College. Now, besides that, the actual game isn't all that bad. Yes, the story is basic and rather boring, with some odd whiplash and tone, and the characters are more one-dimensional than the original Mario. The main gimmick of the game and its appeal is, of course, the gameplay, duh, and the uniqueness of that in that regard. The main gimmick is using your different weapons and kicks or pulls to kill enemies in different ways using the environment or your weapons and their unique ammo type, which I will talk about more later on in its own section, as I have a lot more to say about that than everything else. Saving the gameplay for later, I am starting with the story, as I have very little to say about it, as is your classic revenge dude bro storyline. The three main characters of the game are, of course, the player character Grayson Hunt, voiced by Steve Bloom, joined with Ishii, voiced by Andrew Kishino, and later on Triska, voiced by Jennifer Hale. Yeah, the main three are oddly stacked for a game of this sort, especially for the time, with these three kind of having a lot of projects, which I'm surprised on. Maybe that's where the budget for the character designs and sceneries it went to. Gray is your classic drunk, wisecracking, distraught man who wants nothing more than to kill a general they work for who tricked their team into killing civilians. Ishii, yes, the Japanese character in this game is named Ishii, is a younger man who promised to stick with Gray, but after stuff goes sideways, is turned into a cyborg with an AI making him very bipolar, with part of him still wanting to get revenge, but another part of him wanting to just leave the planet they are on and kill Gray at the same time. Then there's Triska, who is a woman character in the mid-2000s shooting game. She's part of the General's main squad and takes nothing from the guys, but every chance they have, the devs have to shove her ass in your face. They try to flesh these three out, but every time they do, it doesn't seem as natural as they want it to be, or it really does not fit what the character did not 5 minutes beforehand, which we'll get to later on. There is technically one more main character in General Serrano, the main antagonist and the reason I gave the warning about language earlier. Being the main antagonist means, yeah, he isn't going to be exactly nice, especially in an already violent and vulgar game. However, even for the game, he is insane in what he says, especially to Ishii, and if it isn't that or the R slur, all the characters, especially Serrano, swear like Vizipop herself worked on this game. My issue with the story first is the constant whiplash between the serious revenge plot and the comedy of the actual game. The group can fight and almost kill each other, but not a full minute later, I'll kill an enemy and they all make a joke about how I did it, or they have some witty remark about how messed up the buildings are.
If you're lying, I'll tear your fucking throat out. If you are lying, I swear to God, I will kill you. Slowly, painfully. You will wish you died in that crash.
I don't like these close quarters.
Is that fear in your voice, Barbara?
No. Hell no.
I want to call them narrative disconnect, more narrative whiplash, as it seems like the writers had different ideas of how certain scenes should happen in terms of timeline, or the difference in tone between gameplay writing and the cutscenes. When you have a game that tries to show someone losing their mind to an AI and the struggles of it, you can't have a heartfelt scene of him fighting back, then 2 seconds later having to shoot a guy in the butt with a drill and called it some weird sex joke, and not expect me to feel some disconnect from that story. The game also seems to have some padding around a bit more than I would expect with its pacing, where every now and then you'll have a moment where you have to separate from your team or someone gets yoinked from you. It'll be things like Ishii gets taken by a plant, one of the two has to open a door while you and the other companion holds the area, or my least favorite, fight an ambush with no way out only for something to randomly explode or crash and open a gate or rubble for you. The enemies in this game are mostly brainless cannibals, but even some of these clips have me ask, why would they do that?
Nice engineering work there, Skull Boys.
One thing I do like about the game, and I'll give it credit for, is the more into the planet and the city you get into, the more bits and pieces of what happened and why a rich vacation planet is now a savage world. It isn't anything special. They used prisoners to build on this deadly radiation-filled planet. The prisoners revolted, took over, but the radiation mutated them, and anyone who didn't escape turned them into mutants or cannibals. Besides this, most of the lines of other things in the overall universe of this game are either comically bad or just questionable on why they would use that as a throwaway line. The rest of the story from where I left off isn't much better. There's plenty of, we can't go this way, we have to go the other way. But there's some story beats here and there. Once they find the general, Triska asks him if he did order the hit on her dad, as the second mission of the game is a flashback of you killing her dad, a reporter, and your squad protecting her before leaving. Now, immediately that makes Ishii and Gray super old despite how they look, or Triska is much younger than she is supposed to, which raises other things, as the flashback was only a few years before the game, and she looks around like 8, maybe 10 years old at best. Anyways, he pushes her off the cliff before Gray can kill him. He tells the two there's a virus spawn they have to disarm, and immediately I knew he was lying, but the others didn't. Does this guy look like he is trustworthy? As they go down to his ship to disarm it, Ishii tells Gray he forgives him and is sorry for losing control and will help kill Serrano once things are done. It's a sweet scene, but then you play the game again and it ruins that sweet moment. Anyways, he tricks you, duh, and arms the bomb, leaving you to die. Triska didn't die, also duh, and you reach and kill him after Ishii sacrifices himself. You and Triska escapes, and that's it. But there is a sequel bait.
And I let him get away.
So, what are you gonna do about it?
You see God while you were gone?
God is dead.
Now, while the story is trash and definitely too vulgar for some people's taste, excluding the main issues of the dialogue, the gameplay is the main draw and appeal to the game. The basic gameplay loop may at first seem like a basic military shooter with sliding around, but once you get the leash in the first mission, it opens up a world of fun. Every kill gives you points for ammo, unlocking new weapons, and buying each weapon's unique ult fire. Your kick and leash can also push or pull enemies towards you or into traps, causing them to float for a bit before falling as normal if they don't hit anything. You can combo these and a gun ults to rack up points, like kicking a guy with a mine on his body into a large group of enemies, and get way more points than you really should. While also giving more points, alt fires also provide ways to deal with different enemies. The shotgun, for example, shoots fire through cover, or the mine shooter that instead shoots a leash that cuts through enemies rather than catching onto them. Speaking on the enemies, while nothing unique, there is some variety. Your basic guys are called the skulls. Just your basic, large, blocky men that eat bullets and aren't all that smart. They have some shotgunners and green guys role-playing as orcs. And they're the only ones with a real mini-boss where you gotta shoot his armor off before ripping off his helmet, or shoot him in the butt. The next gang you meet are called the creeps. Fast, nimble fighters in the intro to sniping, which isn't all that great in the game, sort of taking you out of the faster paced action to guide a single bullet to one enemy, which is a bit odd for a game with the main appeal of getting points and getting high amount of kills, as you don't really get the amount of points you should get for the effort with the gun. Anyways, they are honestly one of the better enemy types, as they cannot just be instantly leashed or kicked unless you slide into them or stun them with a few well-placed shots. Or you can just use the mine and kill 20 of them. They can be a bit annoying sometimes to fight, especially when you first fight them and your only option is to use a sniper. But overall, I wish we had more of them to add difficulty over the skulls. The last gang are the burnouts, and are the actual mutants that run at you for melee. Nothing really interesting in them besides you either shoot their giant glowing tumors, or you just use one of the 18 billion ways you can kill enemies besides shooting them. These are the best enemies, I believe, for the game, and I wish they were around more than just the last 2 or 3 hours, and it are really just a constant ambush enemy where you sit for 5 minutes and obliterate them. Now you know what you're fighting, we can talk about the tools. For the most part, the guns are decent variety, and there are definitely some I think are either worse versions of another, and with 8 weapons total, that really isn't a major issue, as even though the grenade launcher and mines are similar, you use them in different enough ways to make them feel unique. The issue with the weapons start with the amount you can carry. With 8 total weapons, you can only carry 3 at a time, except one has to be the assault rifle at all times, so really, you can only carry 2. This hurts the main idea of experimenting with the gameplay and trying to combo weapons, as once you find 2 you like, or rack up the best points for you, there is no reason to switch. For me, the shotgun and mine launcher are the best, as the shotgun does great knockback into traps, which gives way more points than normally kicking or leashing them, and a mine is best for dealing with hordes of enemies, and you can easily get hundreds of kills and points with just the mines alone. It can also make one of the only bosses in the game stupidly easy, since you only need 3 or more mines per phase. Now, you're probably asking me, or yourself, what are the points for? Well, just ammo, leash charges for its special ability. You do unlock weapons with it, but they are stupidly cheap and a one-time buy no matter what. Once you get charges for the weapon you like, the only thing to ever buy afterwards is ammo, which is a missed opportunity for maybe unlocking stuff for your weapons like skins or charms, or maybe even some Easter eggs a lot of mid-2000 games love to have. As is, there are more bragging rights than anything, as at any time, you can look at your stats to see how many points you have per difficulty, and includes the weapons you like to use the most. The game also loves its on-rail sections and QTEs. The first actual bit of gameplay is a QTE of you kicking a guy into space, then 2 minutes later, shooting a ship on a turret. Normally, I don't have a big issue with these in most shooters, as it can be a fun way to turn your brain off. There isn't much difficulty in them. The issue is, you can't kick or leash when doing these moments, so you really don't have much input outside of holding the right trigger, and you don't have cover, so if you aren't focusing on these parts, it can be a far harder fight than it needs to be. And for some of them, the weapon you're using has a cooldown, so you can't even hold the trigger and just turn your brain off. You have to sit there every 2 seconds and just look at it. There are also some collectibles, like beers you can either drink to get more points, but you can't see, or you can shoot them to get some minor bonus points, and news bots you can blow up. These don't do anything besides giving you an achievement for completionist, which is whatever to me. The game does try other ways to break the same loop, like giving you a giant robo monster to control, which is more of a pain than anything, and the aforementioned turret sections. It seems cool for a second, then when one enemy tries to kill you, you don't have the same tools to survive, so half the time, for the robot example, you have to sit behind cover and wait as it just kind of sits there, slowly turning over. While it seems a very messy game, and it sounds like I may be complaining, when the game gives you the chance and pushes you to keep moving and constantly switch weapons similar to Doom, it can hit really hard, with the gore in the game being simple but helping to lend into just how bad you are messing these guys up. If you ignore the characters and the story and the things tied together with those two, the gameplay alone is worth it. I recommend getting your favorite music out, muting the voices, though you will miss out on the gang threatening you, if you care for that, and playing the game that way. Overall, Bulletstorm is a great example of what gaming was like 10 years ago and how far we have come for better and for worse. If it seems interesting to you, I recommend getting the complete edition on sale, maybe for a night with friends or start a drinking game with the swears. I did forget to mention the multiplayer, but honestly, it's just single player combat with 3 others and the racist general barking in your ear. If you liked the video, like, sub, and share with your friends. I'll see you guys next time.